Hello everyone. We now come to a part that will interest you much more, because, until now, we have certainly learned a lot, but it was not the most elegant. Also, with this first part of the chapter dedicated to texts and color, we are going to slowly start the real realization of our future site, and to see how to modify the size and the style of our texts. So, we are going to start from scratch, with a blank site, which we will build step by step. As I told you during the first chapter, we are going to create this site model together, at least in its substance, because you can always personalize yours according to your tastes and needs. Of course, I cannot present all the possibilities of results, and only will be created and presented in the following, this model. Well, let's create a folder on our hard disk, which will contain our future site. I'm going to name it My Site, which will contain the different pages of our site, and, inside it, we're going to create a subfolder, which we'll name Content, which will contain all the elements of our site, such as images, for example. This done, let's open our text editor with our basic code of an HTML page. Normally it should be the test1 HTML file, which we created in the chapter. The basics of HTML, which is composed of the basic lines of the code of a web page. If you no longer have it, open a new file, and copy this coding to it, putting the name you want to appear in the tab of your site, in the line of code, title. Everyone ready? Let's go. First we have the main title and a short text introducing the site. We therefore insert the main title in H1 markers, and the presentation text in a paragraph, that is, in P markers. Now, we are going to see the different ways to format your texts. I do not mean to erase them from your hard disk, but to format them. First, the size. Yes, remember, although your browser will write your title very large, and your text normal size, it is not the role of the markers to indicate the size of the latter. H1 means, remember, main title, and P, paragraph. So, we will be able to define the size of each type of text separately, and we will also see that it is possible to modify only a certain title, or paragraph, and even still, part of a text. There are several ways to choose the size of your text. We will see the three main ones. First, we can indicate the absolute size of the text, that is, we will give a fixed value in pixels to the height of your text. As the part we are creating now will be the header, or the banner, and will be common to all our future pages, we will place our text formatting in an external CSS file, and therefore, we must add a line in the head, which we'll call this CSS file, as seen in the previous lesson. Then, we open a new tab in our editor, which will contain the CSS code, which we will name when it is first saved, style.css. In short, for example, we are going to give a size of 40 pixels to our title, and of 25 pixels to our text. Here's how to do it. First, we indicate the type of markers concerned by the CSS functions, so let's start with H1, then, the pair of braces, between which we will add the functions. To modify the size of a text, we are going to use the function font size, which means define the size of the font. And as a value for this, we enter the desired size, which is here, 40, followed by px for pixels. Don't forget the semicolon after the value. Now, let's repeat this operation, but for the P marker, and specifying a size of 25 pixels. Let's save our two files, the HTML code, under index.html, yes, remember, that's the name of the home page, and the CSS code under style.css. We can test the result in our browser. Well, this method, called Absolute size will not take into account the preferences set by the user of the host browser, and will display the text at the size indicated, even if the user has modified the display size of his browser. To make it easier to read, for example. Well, then there are two other ways to change the size of a text, with the relative size. That is, the size will be in proportion to the size defined by the host browser. The first way is to define the size with a size name. Obviously, these names are in English. Here they are. XX small for tiny, X small for very small, small for small, medium for average or normal size, large for large, X large for extra large, XX large for gigantic. We can do a test by modifying the pixel values by simply naming the size. For example, X large for the title and large for the text. And see the result in our browser. Well, the problem with this method is that there are only 7 different sizes. The second relative method is to indicate a size ratio, compared to the normal size that would be displayed by default. It can be written in 2 different ways. First, in EM, which consists of multiplying the original size by the value indicated, that is, let's say in our example, H1 at a value of 2.2 em, and P at a value of 1.6 em. Attention, use the point, and not the comma, as decimal character. It is the English standard. Then let's test our code. We note that the values below 1 shrink the size of the text. At 1, we have the default size, and values greater than 1 enlarge our text. The second way is to write the size in percent. It's exactly the same principle as the EM, but the size here is multiplied by the defined percentage. To take the same sizes as an EM, I should have a size of 220% for H1, and 160% for P. You can test, and you will find that the result is identical. Alright, now let's set the size of these 2 elements to match our desired result. You can use the method of your choice. Personally, I will use the absolute size, because I will use this same principle to define the size of certain future elements. So I have my main title in 60 pixels, and my paragraph in 30 pixels. Let's save the 2 codes. Well, now let's see how to give style to our texts, like put it in italics, put it in bold, underline it. We will even see that it is possible to make it blink. First, how to italicize it. I hear you saying to me, but madam, we know how to italicize. With the EM marker. Oh no. I never said that. Of course, when you use the EM marker, your browser decides to write the text in italics, but nothing forces it to do so. Remember, EM means somewhat important text, just like strong means important text, and not how to write it. On the other hand, with CSS, we will be able to give a mandatory format to our text. Well, to put a text in italics, we will use the function font style, with one of its 3 possible values, which are italic, to put in italic, oblique, which will slant the letters, it's a little different from italic, and normal, which will write the text straight. In our site, to understand this well, let's add a pair of EM markers surrounding your name in the paragraph. Now I want the paragraph to be in italics, and my name in straight. In the CSS code, we are going to add a function, font style to the P marker, either following the font size function, or in a new line. And I indicate the value, italic. Let's add a new command for the marker, EM. And let's add the function, font style, with the value, normal. Let's save our 2 codes, and see the result in the browser. And yes, now our paragraph is written in italics, and our name in normal, and yet it is located in EM markers. Understood? The markers say what to do, and the CSS functions how to do it. Alright, let's move on. Let's see how to bold text. This will be done using the function font weight, with two possible values, bold to put in bold, and normal to not put in bold. So let's put our name in bold. In the CSS code, so we add the function font weight with the value bold for the marker EM. And let's just save the CSS, then see the result in our browser. Now let's see how to decorate our text. The CSS offers you 5 possibilities with the function text decoration, which are underline to underline a text, line through to strike through the text, overline to put a line above the text, blink to make it blink. Attention, this function may not work on all browsers. And none to display normal text. This function is therefore written text decoration followed by one of the values. To test this, I'm just going to add the same line 5 times in each paragraph, and I'm going to insert the CSS code directly into the P markers with each of the values, so you can see the result. This done, let's see this in our browser. I must admit that the function blink did not work whether on Edge, Chrome, or Firefox. I haven't tested this on mobile browsers. And that's it. We now know how to modify our text. These different functions will be of great use to you in the future, so it's good to take a few notes as a reminder. In the next part, we will see how to modify the fonts and how to align our texts. Thank you for your attention. Katerina and Patrick.